What if everything you thought you knew about how humans evolved was, well, maybe not the full story? Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really groundbreaking archaeological find. It's shaking things up quite a bit in terms of our ancient ancestors. We're talking about new fossil evidence showing two different types of human relatives living, side by side, same place, same time, millions of years ago. And that really challenges a long-held idea about how we evolved. Yeah, so our mission today is to unpack this recent finding from northeastern Ethiopia. It involves some incredibly tiny fossilized teeth, but these little fragments, they're giving us this really complex picture suggesting human evolution wasn't a straight line, but more like a bushy tree, as scientists are calling it. We'll explore what these teeth tell us, why the specific location in Ethiopia is so important, and what big questions are still out there. And just so you know, this deep dive pulls from a fascinating article covering discoveries from the Lead Research Project published in the journal Nature. So let's jump in. What's the core discovery here? What did they actually find?
Right. So the big news revolves around these fossilized teeth from Ethiopia. They found 10 teeth belonging to the genus Australopithecus. Those were dug up between 2018 and 2020. And then, sort of the key part, 3 other teeth found back in 2015 identified as belonging to the genus Homo, our direct lineage. The really amazing thing is the dating. All these teeth fall between 2.6 and 2.8 million years old. So it's not just finding teeth, it's finding evidence of these 2 distinct types of hominins, our ancestors, sharing the exact same landscape at the exact same time.
Wow. Okay, so same place, same time. That feels huge.
Yeah.
Because the standard story for ages was that Homo kind of showed up after Australopithecus had, disappeared.
Exactly. That was the prevailing view.
So this doesn't just tweak the timeline, it kind of flips the whole narrative on its head. What does that mean for, the bigger picture of human evolution?
It absolutely does flip it. It's a fundamental shift. What's really profound here is how it forces us to rethink the way evolution worked back then. It really challenges that, that classic image we all have. The straight line from an ape-like figure to maybe a Neanderthal, then to us.
Right, the textbook draw.
Yeah, that one. Kai Reed, who co-authored the study, put it really well. She said, this new research shows that the image many of us have is not correct. Evolution doesn't work like that. Correct. Goes on to say, here we have 2 hominin species that are together, and human evolution is not linear. It's a bushy tree. There are life forms that go extinct. Okay. So think less straight line, more complex branching bush. It suggests there was this period of evolutionary experimentation, different human-like forms trying out different ways to survive all at once.
Okay, a bushy tree. I like that. Makes it sound much more, dynamic.
It was. It really challenges the idea that our specific lineage, Homo, was somehow the inevitable winner. We were just one branch among several, and some of those other branches just, they didn't make it long term.
So a more diverse, maybe even competitive ancient world than we thought. Can you sketch out the main differences between these 2 groups, Australopithecus and early Homo, who were apparently neighbors?
Sure. So Australopithecus, think species like the famous Lucy Australopithecus afarensis. They walked upright, which is a key human trait.
Right.
But their brains were significantly smaller, much more like ape-sized brains, actually. Lucy, for instance, lived about 3.2 million years ago, stood maybe 3.3 feet tall, had a more ape-like face.
Okay.
But the crucial thing about Lucy's species, afarensis, is that we don't find any fossils of them after about 2.95 million years ago. So the thinking was they went extinct before Homo really appeared on the scene.
And Homo species were different how? Bigger brains.
Generally, yes. The emergence of Homo is often linked to larger brain sizes and, importantly, the development of stone tool technology. It often looked like a clear upgrade in evolutionary terms.
Okay, so how do these new Australopithecus teeth fit into that? Are they like Lucy or something else?
That's where it gets really interesting. These specific Australopithecus teeth found at Ledi, they don't quite match afarensis, like Lucy, or another known species called Garhi.
So, a different species.
It strongly suggests that, yes. A previously unknown type of Australopithecus, one that lived after Lucy's species had disappeared, and crucially, lived at the same time in the same place as early members of our own genus, Homo.
Wow, so that bushy tree just got even bushier.
Exactly. It points to a much richer diversity of hominins during this critical period than we ever suspected.
It really does paint a picture. And it's kind of mind-boggling that this huge shift comes down to, tiny teeth. How hard is it even to find these things and then to date them so precisely?
Oh, it's incredibly difficult. Christopher Camposano, another researcher on the study, described it perfectly. He said, you're looking at little teeth. Quite literally, individual teeth that look just like a lot of the little pebbles spread on the landscape.
Just like pebbles. Jeez.
Yeah, so finding them is a testament to really meticulous fieldwork. And they give huge credit to the local Afar people involved in the project, apparently. They're fantastic fossil hunters.
I can imagine you'd need sharp eyes.
Definitely. As for the dating, the Australopithecus teeth were pinned down to about 2.63 million years ago. The Homo teeth found nearby dated between 2.59 and 2.78 million years ago. So a clear overlap in time.
And the location itself, the Afar region in Ethiopia. Why there? What makes it such a hot spot for finding these ancient remains?
Ah, great question. It's all about the geology. The Afar region is an active rifting environment.
Rifting, like pulling apart.
Exactly. The tectonic plates there are actively separating. The whole continent is quite literally sort of unzipping.
Okay.
And as it cools apart, it exposes much older layers of sediment, layers that have been buried for millions of years. It gives scientists this incredible window into the past nearly 5 million years of evolutionary history is accessible there.
Wow.
Plus, there's volcanic activity associated with this rifting. The volcanic ash contains these little crystals, feldspars, which can be dated very accurately using radiometric methods. So you find a fossil near an ash layer, you date the ash, and boom, you have a precise age for the fossil.
So it's the perfect storm of geology exposing the past and allowing precise dating.
Pretty much. And this finding builds on other discoveries, too. We already knew, for example, that Homo lived alongside another group called Paranthropus in Kenya's Turkana Basin around 1.5 million years ago.
Paranthropus.
Yeah.
They were the ones with the really big jaws, right?
Yeah, the robust Australopithecines, specialized for heavy chewing. But this new study confirms Homo coexisting with the species of Australopithecus, not Paranthropus much earlier, in this Afar region. It adds another specific instance of overlap to that bushy tree.
Okay, so we have this incredible timeline shift, different species living together. Let's try and visualize it. What was the Afar region actually like back then, 2.6 to 2.8 million years ago? What kind of world were they living in?
Well, it certainly wasn't the sort of semi-desert landscape you see there today. It was quite different.
Wetter?
Yes, definitely more seasonal rainfall. Think brief, intense wet seasons, followed by longer dry spells. You would have had seasonal rivers flowing, wetlands, large areas of grassland, but interestingly, probably not that many trees.
Fewer trees. Okay,
Yeah.
so more open, grassy plains.
That seems to be the picture, yes. An open environment may be somewhat challenging depending on the season.
You mentioned Kerry Reed bringing up fossil giraffes found there eating grass, which isn't their usual preference.
Exactly. Giraffes normally prefer browsing on trees and bushes. Finding evidence they were eating grass suggests they might have been under ecological stress. Perhaps their preferred food was scarce.
So if even the giraffes were feeling the pressure, what does that imply for these two hominin groups sharing the landscape? Were resources tight? Were they competing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The giraffe example really highlights the potential pressures. If resources were limited or very seasonal, how did Homo and Australopithecus manage?
Did they maybe specialize, eat different things?
That's a strong possibility. Maybe one focused more on tougher vegetation, the other on something else. Or perhaps they use slightly different parts of the landscape, or maybe there is direct competition. We just don't know for sure yet.
So how do scientists figure that out? Just from teeth?
Amazingly, yes, the teeth can tell us a lot. Researchers are looking very closely at isotopes, chemical signatures locked into the enamel as the teeth formed.
Okay.
Those isotopes can indicate the types of plants the individuals were eating. They also look at microscopic wear patterns, tiny scratches and pits on the tooth surface caused by chewing.
Scratches tell you about diet.
They can, yeah. Different food textures leave different microscopic marks. So by comparing these details between the Homo and Australopithecus teeth, they can start to build a picture of their respective diets, see if they were overlapping or distinct.
That's fascinating. Using tiny clues to answer huge questions about ancient behavior. But it sounds like there's still a lot more to learn, right? What are the big mysteries scientists are still to solve here?
Oh, absolutely. This is really just the beginning. The researchers themselves are quite cautious. Brian Vilmore, the lead author, pointed out, obviously, these are only teeth. This emphasizes the critical importance of finding additional fossils.
More bones needed.
Definitely. More fossils are always the goal. Ideally, finding more complete skulls or skeletal parts would help definitively identify the species involved, especially for this potentially new Australopithecus. And beyond just who they were, there's the how. How did they interact? Were they competing for food, like we discussed?
Right.
And another big one. Stone tools have also been found at the site from around this period. So who made them? Was it Homo? Was it Australopithecus? Or maybe both? Knowing who the tool makers were is pretty fundamental.
Yeah, that seems crucial.
So yeah, the exact nature of their coexistence. Peaceful neighbors, direct competitors, something else entirely that's still largely unknown. As Kyreed said, you always need more information, more fossils. She also noted, because we're the survivors, we know that it happened to us. Which is a good reminder our lineage made it through this complex period. But understanding the other branches helps us understand our own story better.
It really highlights how much is still buried, waiting to be found, especially in this time frame, right? You mentioned fossils are rare from this period.
Extremely rare. That period between about 3 and 2 million years ago in East Africa, it's known for having relatively few fossils, possibly due to geological reasons like less sediment being deposited to bury and preserve bones. So any find from this window is incredibly valuable.
Okay, so stepping back, what's the main takeaway here for all of us listening? What does this discovery really mean?
Well, I think it fundamentally means that the story of us, of human evolution, it's way more complex, more tangled, and honestly more interesting than that simple straight line we often imagine. It really shows this incredible diversity of life, different experiments in being human-like, happening all at once. And it's a powerful reminder that science is always discovering, always refining the picture. What we think we know today might change tomorrow with the next find.
Absolutely. It encourages us to embrace that complexity, that bushiness of the evolutionary tree.
Yeah, and this specific evidence, two different human relatives walking the same ground. It really does make you wonder, doesn't it? How much more is out there? How much of our own story is still hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the Earth to shift just right? Could there have been other, completely unimagined relatives living alongside our ancestors?
It's entirely possible. The past keeps surprising us.
It really does. Well, if this deep dive into our ancient Bushy family tree got you thinking, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive. We explore these kinds of surprising stories all the time, and you won't want to miss what's next. And hey, we genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this one. What's your biggest takeaway from learning about this ancient coexistence? Does it change how you think about human evolution? Let us know in the comments below.